Hello! So I figured I would do a little video about training with Interac. Mine was actually only 3 days. It's usually 5 days. Um, but yeah, I don't know why, but mine was cut a little bit short. But whatever. Anyway, so on the first day we met the group and the two trainers down in the lobby of the hotel that we were staying at, and then we walked to the headquarters in Tokyo, and that was where our training was at the Interac headquarters. So the first day was really simple. It was just the do's and don'ts, a lot of basic things. Don't take drugs into the country, don't associate with bad people, simple stuff like that. The second day was a lot more in depth and a lot more practical. And on the first day we had to go do our chest x-rays for the tuberculosis test. I suggest actually following the directions that Interac gives you to, get to the clinic, so you don't end up having to walk in the Tokyo heat in the middle of summer, but that's beside the point. Anyway, so the second day was a lot more practical. We went over elementary school stuff, warm-ups, how to teach them, things like that. So it was a lot more hands-on as well. We'd get into little groups of 4 or 5 about. My training group was really small, so it was really only 4 or 5 people per group that we would get into, and we would practice amongst our group. And then afterwards, sometimes they would just move on to the next topic, or like one person from each group would go up and like practice and present in front of the whole class. And when that happened, when people would go up, they would ask them, what do you think you did right? What did you think you did wrong? What do you think you could have done better? That kind of stuff. So it was really practical, really hands-on. The second actual practical day, so the third day of training, and it was my last day of training, went over junior high. So it was, again, another practical day, same stuff, just over junior high. We briefly went over worksheets. I kind of wish we'd spent a little bit more time on that, but that's no big deal. I suppose it's something that you get the hang of anyway. So, yeah, the second and third day were really just over 2 different topics, and then my training was over. The next day I flew up to Sapporo with the 2 other people that were staying in Sapporo, and then on Friday I was driven to my village. So training was incredibly short for me. Most of the time it's 5 days again. So I do wish I'd gotten a longer one, because I kind of feel like I was thrown into the wolves. I also really wish we'd gone over like how to teach at an eikaiwa, and how to do a kindergarten class, because I went into those blind. But it worked out at least. But it would have been nice to have some training, so I think that's the only real thing that I wish they'd have covered, because it would have been really helpful, but it's not that big of a deal. My suggestions would be to take a lot of notes, to practice as much as possible, especially if you're someone that learns from doing. Personally, I can do both, learn by watching and doing. It depends on what the topic is. But yeah, I would definitely take a lot of notes, especially about like what the games, how to do them, because while you do get like a training book, like a thick book, of like a bunch of games and activities and stuff you can do with the kids, and like more things that you didn't even go over in training, the ones that you do go over in training, it helps to have written down in a way that you understand, because you know how you think. So I think you know, it makes a really big difference when you go back and look at your notes to see how you wrote them and how you described it to yourself, because you might not necessarily understand the way that the book that you were given explains it. I would also suggest not to worry too much. I'm sure you've heard this a lot if you've gotten this far and you're watching training videos, but it's pretty relaxed. At least the small group one was. It was fairly relaxed. You don't want to like look bored, obviously. You don't want to be bored, but if you mess up, they're not going to like ship you back to the country, you know? So just be relaxed, have fun, and get the most out of it as possible. Make friends with the people that you're training with, because even if you're placed really far apart from them, at least you have someone to talk to. Because I'm out in the middle of nowhere, and I'm personally not actually close to anyone that I trained with, and I really wish I was, but it's nice to have a group of people to talk with who are literally in the exact same situation as you are. They just got to Japan, they just got, you know, living by themselves, they're in a brand new country, for the most part. Some people came over from Jet, but not too many. But yeah, it's really useful to have that group of people to talk to, even if they're not close by. And not really pertaining to the training itself, but before you get to Japan, to kind of prepare for it, I would also recommend, along the same lines, is to get to know people that are in your area, because Interac has a Facebook group for like the people they've hired, the people that work for them now, and it helps so much to have people to talk to in the area that you're placed in. And you can usually find them by just posting on that group, hey, I'm placed here, who else is here? And then like make friends with those people, because like you're just building a bigger network. You're not going to be as alone in a country that you're not used to, that's really unfamiliar with. And if you do it that way, a lot of times it'll be people that have been here for a while and can help you with things. So I definitely recommend not just sitting back, you know, waiting to leave, but try and look forward and find people that are actually already here too. So, yeah. So I also forgot to mention, in my training, I didn't personally have to do a demo lesson, although we got like assigned one. I didn't have to present mine personally, but I do know that my friend who was in the full training actually had to present her demo lesson to her board of education. So definitely do that, because you might have to do a demo lesson for your board of education. And don't put off doing your intro lesson until like you're in Japan. Don't put off like preparing for it. They mention when you're getting ready to come over here to prepare one, have an idea of what you want to do, print off pictures and bring them. And I definitely recommend doing that, because you get here and it's actually kind of, at least me being in the countryside, it's really hard to print things out, because the konbini is really, really expensive, like $1 a page for color. So get your things printed out, get them laminated, or whatever you want to do before you get here, because it's going to be really hard to do when you're here. You might have to present your intro lesson during training to show them what you've got prepared. And I mean, they're not going to ship you back to your country if you don't have it prepared, but this way you get an idea of what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, and that kind of stuff. So I'd really, really suggest having that prepared. it's also a lot less stressful when you do have to actually do one, even if you don't have to present one during training. But when you have to do one for your schools, then you're not stressing out about, what am I going to do? Oh my god, what am I going to do? I don't have anything prepared. But if you come prepared, that's one less thing to worry about at least. So I definitely recommend getting those two things done. The demo lesson is something that you'll be given during training, kind of like a little assignment. So that's not something you have to prepare before you get to Japan, but it's something you want to work on after training, just to be prepared in case you do have to give a presentation at the end of training or to your Board of Education. So don't put these things off. I ended up getting lucky, but I know some people definitely did not with that, and they weren't prepared. So you definitely want to be prepared at least. Yeah, if you have any more questions, just comment down below. If you want to know about the longer training sessions, I can always ask my friends that actually, had the full length, because mine was just a really short length for some reason. But nothing I can do about that. But if you have anything else you'd like me to do a video on or whatever, just let me know in the comments and I will do my best to make a video on it. Thank you, bye, I'll see you next time.